What's up, guys? So today I want to talk about a really fast heart rate associated with your anxiety. This could possibly and probably is the most common symptom of anxiety, especially whenever you're starting to feel it for the first time. If you have anxiety attacks or panic attacks, you know this just comes with the territory, but it's a very, very scary symptom. And in the beginning, when I had cardiophobia, it made me feel like there was something wrong with my heart. So I feared anything heart related, heart attacks, anything with the circulatory system, so strokes or anything like that. But heart attacks, I worried about AFib, I worried if I had POTS, I worried about heart failure, sudden death, cardiac arrest, all those fun things, right? Because I had a horrible health anxiety. But I want to give you some insight, a little bit of what I went through, and I'm also, more importantly, going to give you some tips on how to get away from this symptom, okay? It's a tough one. It'll lock on and hold on if you're not doing the right stuff, and a lot of you are not doing the right things. So be sure to watch this whole video, and I'll give you some tips at the end and share with you some of the things that I did to get away from this crazy symptom. So a fast heart rate was the first thing that I noticed in the weeks leading up to my first panic attack. And the crazy thing is, all throughout my anxiety journey, I never really thought about a seed being planted before I had that first panic attack. I thought that I just went out, I had too much to drink, I was dehydrated, and it caused me to have this crazy panic attack, and that sucks, and that just screwed me up. Yeah, it played a big part. But after I had recovered from anxiety, I started to really realize, like, in the weeks leading up to me having that first panic attack, I remember being like very aware of my heartbeat. I wasn't having panic or any crazy symptoms aside from that. I was out of shape, really. I wasn't overweight, but still I was out of shape. I wasn't working out. I ate whatever I wanted. I was young, 19, 20 around this time. I was partying way too much, drinking too much, so probably a lot of dehydration or chronically dehydrated. And I smoked cigarettes like a choo-choo train at that time. So all those things are probably going to lead to a higher than normal heart rate. So I just remember checking every once in a while. It was nothing crazy like it got to later on. But I just noticed it being higher than what it should be. So I remember calling my mom, because she was a nurse, bless her heart. Try to take it easy on the nurses or doctors in your family. Don't take advantage of them like that. I called her, and she's like, you don't live in the best lifestyle, but you're not overweight. You're still young. There's nothing wrong with your heart. Were very active, and in great shape before this slump or whatever. So it's likely just maybe a little bit of stress and a little bit of your lifestyle. So stop worrying about it. So I tried to do that, and I kind of was okay with it. But then I had a really bad panic attack after a 2-day bender with my freaking friends, and just drinking too much, eating really bad. And I came back and I was dehydrated, so my heart rate was a little bit higher. And this is what set off my first major panic attack. And this was by far the worst panic attack I had ever had in my entire life. I hadn't really had any before that, really. I had some anxiety attacks when I was younger, but I'm talking about, like, for the next 5 years, this was the Mac Daddy of them all. Every symptom you could imagine. And in that moment, I think that I really became convinced that I was going to die and that there was something wrong with my heart. I thought I was having a heart attack. I Googled, I typed in all this stuff, and it told me that at the age of 20, I'm going to have a heart attack. So that panic attack lasted 6 freaking hours. But something magical happened after that first panic attack. I was always just doing this, pretty much all throughout the freaking day. If you looked at me in 30-second increments, probably half the time I'm going to do this. I may try to be sneaky with it if I'm talking to you, but I'm over here monitoring my heart rate, which was kind of silly because the whole time it was triggering for me. I never really felt any comfort from feeling my heart rate. I know some of you are like, well, I check my heart rate and that makes me feel, good about myself and good that, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with my heart and all that stuff. I'll still argue that you're a slave to checking your heart rate. You shouldn't have to do that, right? But for me, I didn't get any comfort at all. I mean, that would have been a little nice, right? It was just triggering for me. So anytime I would check from then on out, wherever it was faster by the time I put my fingers down, So even if it was like, let's say 100 would be a good day for me, by the time I'm done with my 20-second checking to count, I'm already up to like 115, 120. So there were a lot of times simply me doing this and it speeding up caused panic, right? And I had high blood pressure, of course, but we're focusing on heart rate. So what was my heart rate like? So at rest, and I'm talking about after being up for about 10 minutes, it was anywhere from 90, 95, all the way to 120, 125-ish, okay? And yes, that's just at rest, just me sitting down. I mean, I would even say that strolling through the house or something is still at rest for me. So that would be what it would be like. There were certain activities that would spike it up, you know, if I got up off the couch too quickly, or if I was, you know, bringing some groceries up the steps. I guess my fear of heart rate and the habit of my body and subconscious to beat very, very quickly and the constant little survival mode that I was in, it took very little for my heart rate to spike up. You know, and I'm not a cardiologist. I don't know exactly the science, but if I had to just guess, I think it's like if you're very anxious and you have an anxiety disorder and you're hypersensitive, you're kind of always waiting for something to pop off. So it's like your body has a habit of just like going all in. And if you have panic disorder, it has a habit of giving you these adrenaline rushes. So just getting things going sometimes can be very, very triggering. That's why it's difficult for a lot of you guys to exercise, because you find that it can be triggering. Once you get past that, exercise is amazing for your anxiety and panic and all that good stuff. Not to mention, it will make you finally accept that anxiety is what's going on up here and not an actual heart condition. Because if you can work out and do those things, it's going to convince you. But that's a little tip I'll talk about in a little bit. But anyways, so that was at rest, 90, 95 to 120, okay? Whenever I was having anxiety attacks or panic attacks, we're talking anywhere from like 140 to 180. And this could go on for hours, actually. So that's how fast my heart rate was, especially for the first 2 to 2.5 years of my 5-year health anxiety journey and panic disorder journey and all that stuff. Once I got past the cardiophobia and I finally accepted that there was nothing wrong with my heart, I didn't focus on the heart rate as much, so obviously it started to slow down. I worried about things like cancer and stuff like that. I still dealt with that, but my heart rate started to generally go down with time, and I'd understood the importance of eating healthier and exercise, and I stopped smoking. So there were a lot of lifestyle changes that I made because of anxiety, which means anxiety can be a blessing in disguise for some of you, and that also allowed my heart rate to generally go down. But that first 2 years especially, that was my vitals and my numbers every single day. And I developed what's known as white coat syndrome. So I would go to the doctor and my vitals would shoot up in anticipation of having bad results, right? So I remember like trying to psych myself up, or trying to like, actually psych, that's the wrong way of saying it, trying to calm myself down, like please don't have high heart rate numbers whenever you get in there, or high blood pressure. And I would get in there and like immediately whenever they start checking it, I could just see the pulse thing just going up, 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 up. Oh, your heart rate's 130. Are you okay? Are you feeling all right? And that would make me panic even more. Your blood pressure's super high. Does this run in your family? Do you have a history of any heart issues? And of course, even though in my head I'm like, part of me is convinced that there's something wrong with my heart, I don't want to hear it from a doctor. So I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with my heart. It's anxiety, right? You know what I mean? So I would always go through the white coat syndrome, and that lasted for years. I was very much a slave to constantly checking. I would check, all right? So let's move into the tip section for this. The first thing is you need to go to a doctor and get checked out just to make sure. 90% of you probably are fine, right? And probably higher than that. That you're probably good, and this is probably anxiety, especially if you've had some anxiety attacks, you've got a history of anxiety, you're still waking up every morning, you know what I mean? You're able to do things and stuff. This is likely anxiety, but you need to be safe first of all. Go get checked out. Get whatever testing that you need to get done. If you're still worried after that and you're having some issues with this or any other symptoms like chest pains or high blood pressure continues, go see a specialist, Go to the top of the top so you can get some concrete reassurance. Now, the thing is that reassurance doesn't last, right? The external. So it's good to get it. It's safe to do it. But eventually you have to develop internal reassurance. So get the external first. Get it out of your system. Go see a doctor. If you're scared to go see a doctor, this is going to drag out because you're never going to be certain. So you have to go see a doctor. Get told that you're healthy. That's the first step. The next step is we have to start developing internal reassurance that things are okay, that there's nothing wrong with our heart, that we accept anxiety, and I have to back that up with my actions so my subconscious believes me. So where do you think I'm going with this? Stop checking. I don't care if it gives you comfort, okay? For me, it was triggering, so I think it was easier for me to finally be like, I got to stop doing this. For those of you that rely on it for comfort, you're getting a little bit of peace from it. But I'm telling you, you are still sending a message to your subconscious that there may be something wrong with their heart. I don't know. Let's check. Okay, there's nothing wrong. You shouldn't have to check. What healthy person has to do this all the time, right? You are trying to convince your subconscious that's sending you these symptoms that the symptoms are not needed. If you're constantly looking for it, this goes for every symptom, chest pain, headache, it's going to keep on sending those symptoms because it feels justified because you're scared too. You're scared and you're freaking your subconscious out even more. Therefore, the cycle continues. If you want to break the cycle, break the behaviors and the habits that are associated with it. Put these fingers down. If you got a pulse checker, unless a doctor, and guys, if a doctor is indicating that you need to check and do what a doctor says. I'm not a doctor, but if a doctor's told you you're healthy and you're finally ready to accept and you feel like you've gotten enough of the external reassurance and you're trying to move on, smash that pulse monitor or give it away or tell somebody to hide it. If you keep on checking, you are not going to get out of this. And this goes again for those of you that are getting comfort from it. I get it. I understand. It's probably harder for you to stop or to stop looking at your pulse monitor. But if you want to ultimately be free from this symptom and move on, you've got to get away from checking. Now, I mentioned some other lifestyle changes. You got to detox your environment. Start eating healthier. Start doing daily exercise, right? Some of you breathing techniques will work. Some of you it won't. You got to see for yourself. Work on your normal stress preventative measures like journaling and meditating, things to kind of calm down a little bit, right? Do those things. Cold showers are great to help desensitize the body. Exercise, okay? And then the bad habits. The tobacco, that's going to keep your heart rate up. The bad food, it's going to make your heart rate go up. I remember I would eat like a plate full of carbs and my heart rate would be through the roof after that. You know, I'd smoke a cigarette, it'd go through the roof. And I was like, okay, I got to get away from that. Dehydration. So there's a lot of lifestyle changes that you can make to get better with this as well. But first, you got to get the external reassurance, seeing the doctor. Now you have to develop the internal reassurance where you're willing to accept that anxiety is causing this and you have to back that up with your actions. So you got to stop checking, right? Then we got to make the necessary lifestyle changes that are supportive of somebody that's healthy and that doesn't have a heart problem, right? You'll be able to reassure yourself even more if you're eating healthy and you're working out and you're doing stress preventative things and you're getting rid of the bad stuff in your life. That is a risk. That nothing is wrong with your heart. So that's where you need to start. But there's a lot of other things that go into recovery, right? You need to have a strong foundation. You need to have a toolbox. You need to have a daily routine. All of that's included in my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp. I'm going to put that down below in the description and in the first pinned comment. That course is helping a lot of people. I've been posting a lot of reviews. You can go check them out on my IG or on my community posts on YouTube. It's helping a lot of people out. Thank you if you've gotten it. It helps support the channel as well. There is a link for online therapy. If you've never tried therapy, therapy can be very, very helpful whenever you're trying to recover from anxiety. I have my coaching info down there if you want to get personal advice from me. And there's some other great resources down there. Check that out. But guys, I love you so much. I'm sorry it's been a minute since I posted. Hopefully this video, especially tips, gave you some value. Please like this and subscribe. If you are new, be a part of the family. And until next time, guys, keep fighting.